What is going on, everybody? Late night stream here for round 2 showdown at the Wells Fargo Championship. Going to do this a little bit quicker this time. So if you're watching this on replay, going to be a little bit more of a video format. If you are in the live chat though, still ask away with the questions because it's a little bit later. I would expect there to be a little bit less people there and what not to worry about. So I can see there's already a few of you down in the chat. So if you do have questions, of course you can ask as per usual. Mr. Waking Up says Grand Slam Luke touted Jason Day and Damon as a core play. Yeah, man, it's a pretty solid week. I mean, in the afternoon, I told you guys to target as many guys as possible. I didn't think it was going to be as big of a difference between the morning and afternoon today. I thought the bigger difference was going to be tomorrow, but there was a one-shot difference. So, of course, our player pool is already starting out in the green. And tomorrow, I mean, we're going to hop into the weather here in a second. Is going to be a bloodbath tomorrow afternoon. And if it ends up raining and delaying play into Saturday, those PM guys are screwed tomorrow. So let's actually go ahead and just hop into it. What's going on, Robert? I see you down in the chat as well. Hopefully we can go ahead and parlay this success here from Thursday into some success here on Friday as well. So let's go ahead and talk about this weather situation. So first off from today, to show you what I was talking about, the scoring average, in the morning, it was 0.19 shots over par. In the afternoon, it was 0.88 shots under par. Now, there was some higher winds in the forecast in the morning. I thought it might have been closer to, let's say, half a stroke, 3/4 of a stroke difference between the two waves, but it was a little bit more drastic than that. Of course, it got a little bit more firmer and faster throughout the day. So in reality, it might actually have been an even larger split, right? Normally the morning plays about 1/3 of a stroke easier than the afternoon wave. So this differential here really could have been even closer to 1.3 strokes at the end of the day, maybe even 1.4 strokes. In terms of the weather tomorrow, this is where I get excited about my 4-round lineups. But of course, is pertinent for tomorrow's slate is the afternoon wave is going to get absolutely murdered. You can see 20 to right around 22 miles an hour of wind gusts for pretty much the entire afternoon wave. And in the morning, it's not really all that calm. You can see, 7 to 8 miles an hour of sustained winds. That's nothing to sleep on, but just the teens in terms of wind gusts. Now, this wouldn't seem to be a huge difference, right? Just, a 5 mile an hour difference in terms of wind gusts, closer to a 10 mile an hour difference, except that on Thursday, that was the exact same type of difference, right? In the morning, it was about a 5 mile an hour difference from the morning until the afternoon wave. And then from the wind gust, it was the exact same type of differential. And that resulted in a 1-stroke difference. Tomorrow, the morning wave gets to go in, again, the more benign conditions. They get to go on the pristine greens, right? There's not going to be any scuff marks on them. They're also going to be a little bit more receptive in the morning. We could see a legitimate 1.5 shot sway between the morning and the afternoon, let alone the fact, and this is a completely different story here, if things get delayed, right? So this is just straight up assuming that there's no delays. You can see there's a ton of rain in the forecast. If they end up having to not finish the round, which you can see there's pretty significant rain in the forecast starting right around 3 p.m., they could play on Saturday, which would be even worse. There's 20 to 30 miles an hour wind gusts there on Saturday. And on Sunday, they don't have it on here yet, but it's the same exact story. So if you played the PM AM stack like I told you to, guys, you're probably going to make a shit ton of money this week by default. You're going to see probably a 2.5 stroke bias between the waves. And again, it's one of the few weeks I've actually completely bought in on that type of narrative. And for tomorrow, you're going to want to ride the same thing, right? The guys in the morning are going to have a much higher chance of taking the place low than the guys in the afternoon. But something to note here is that not all of the low rounds were in the afternoon, right? You can see, of course, Jason Day and Joel Damon, some of our core picks were at the top of the board playing in the afternoon wave. But guys like Aaron River playing in the morning, same thing with McCarthy, Caleb Tarrant, and Matthew Wolf. Barjan, an afternoon guy. Cage Lee playing in the morning, though. Svensson was a morning guy. Mackenzie Hughes an afternoon. It's a little bit more of a mixed bag up top than you might expect. So I don't want to completely ignore the guys that are playing in the afternoon wave, but for them to get to a ceiling type of performance, it's going to be a lot to ask for. And something I meant to mention before with the split is I know a lot of people will talk about the quality of the two waves. The wave that played to 0.19 shots over par included the top 9 priced people on Draftkings this week. So if you're talking about pedigree, if anything, these guys should have shot better than the guys in the afternoon, right? So I'm not a huge weather guy, right? I've kind of said that in the past. I think it's overrated. I think a lot of times we just want to play these courses straight up. This course, because of its small greens, because of its tight fairways, it's extremely penal when you get into that rough. Even just a 5 to 10 mile an hour difference makes a huge difference in terms of the scoring, especially at a par 70 format, right? You don't have those quote unquote gimme par fives or gimme birdies on those par fives. So with that being said, let's hop into the player pool, which I'm excited to talk about. It's going to be a ton of AM guys, as you guys can imagine. We'll catch up on chat before we hop into it. See, there's a few of you down there. We got Robert says team AM only. Completely agree. That's the move for tomorrow. You'll see that pretty much every player in my pool that's marked as a yes will be in the AM wave. There's a few guys I have down as blanks that if I was playing 150 lineups, I might consider playing. Because like I said, you did see a few ceiling performances from the guys playing in the quote-unquote harder of the two waves today, which was in the morning. But I don't think there's going to be a ton of them. Catch me if you can says, out of the top 6 priced guys for Showdown, they all play in the afternoon. Who would you play? So let's go ahead and start off with that. I think that's a good way to start off this video here. I would play Corey Connors because of the ball striking today. If he goes out there, gains even just a stroke to the field, even just a neutral putter to the field, he's going to go out there and have a really solid tournament. On top of that, though, Abraham Answer I have down as a blank. I might mix him into a few lineups. He looked decent today. Same problem was the putter. They were actually in the same group, and neither one could buy a putt for the entire day. And Matt Fitzpatrick would be the other choice. So guys I already have in my 4-leg player pool, I'd consider rolling them back out just because they're good course fits, right? They're guys that can handle the wind. That was something that I considered, but taking them because we knew the weather was going to be a factor, right? And with Rory McIlroy, I'm worried about the high ball flight. I know he played well this morning, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that tomorrow. He was also carried by the putter. He made it was 4 or 5 20-footers today. That's not going to happen every single round. So I know he shot 3 under par, looked pretty decent. I'm not sweating him at all. I honestly think he has a chance to go out there and miss the cut tomorrow. Would not surprise me. His game's just not meant for the wind. It's also not meant for this golf course. The fact that he made whatever it was 7 birdies today or something like that was completely the putter. I mean, the guy was outside of that one wedge shot he hit, I believe it was on the hole number 4. He did not hit a good iron shot all day. It was pretty mediocre to say the best. I'll say the least. Particularly with some of the long irons, like on those par 5s, anytime he had that 220-yard par 3, he wasn't able to capitalize. So it wasn't really all that sharp for Rory McIlroy, and I think a lot of people are going to play him because they have him at 20.3%. I'm not really excited about Tony Finau either. The putter actually was there today, made a few really solid putts, but still didn't do anything special. Also playing in the harder of the two waves. Let's see, anyone else up top I'd consider playing? Honestly, that's it. Everyone else I have down as a no. Mark Leishman, I expect him to regress to his mean relatively soon. Keegan Bradley, he's a fade for me this week. I'm going to be off of him for pretty much everything. Terrell Hatton didn't look the best either. I have his points per dollar here as small on accident. That was not on purpose, but I do call him the garden gnomes. That's why I caught myself laughing right there. He's got the little small points per dollar thing right there, like he's a gnome, right? It makes sense for Terrell Hatton. Let's talk about the guys I do like those. First off, Russell Henley. Actually, let's catch up on chat before we move on. Then we'll talk about the guys that I like there. It's, as you would expect, guys playing in the morning wave that are also coming in with solid recent form, good course fits. Timothy says, please, Luke, talk to me about John. I have him, and he's on a roller coaster. So let me go ahead and actually bring up how he's playing. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I did not play this week. I know last week he was pretty decent, right? He wasn't horrible at the very least. Pretty sure he made the cut. Let me go ahead and take a look at him, though, and I can give you an answer because as of right now, I have no information on how he's been playing. So by roller coaster, I'm assuming he didn't play all that well. I'm going to scroll pretty far down the leaderboard for you. Let me see. Oof. The farther and farther I go down, buddy, I don't think it's looking too good for you. He's +1. Okay, it's not that bad. Okay. Realistically, the cut's going to be -1, maybe -2 if the weather, isn't all that bad tomorrow afternoon. But I expect it to be relatively penal. So I think -1 could be the case. -2 is probably a little bit more likely. He made 4 birdies on his front 9, and on his back 9, he made a triple bogey on number 2. He made 3 other bogeys there on the front 9. And then on the back 9, like I said, he made 4 birdies and finished with a bogey. Let me look at his shots gained metrics to give me an idea. He lost putting. He gained off the tee, and he was right around a neutral on approach, and he gained around the greens. I'm not excited about the play, but he lost on the greens. So clearly, the ball striking was good enough for somebody like a John Huh. But I can't tell you that I'm excited to make the play. So that's what I would say for you, Timothy. We'll wish you best of luck. I am not on that endeavor with you with somebody like a John Huh. Barry says, today was a great day. I completely agree. There were people out there that were completely dismissing the weather. And I understand that at certain golf courses, like where you have protection from the wind, maybe it's super far inland, it doesn't get very windy. Potomac, where they're playing, is right off of a huge bay. It's right off of the Potomac River. You get some pretty damn strong winds. I mean, we're going to get 30-mile-an-hour winds tomorrow. So, I think the people that ignored the wind look foolish now, probably feel a little bit stupid about themselves. Robert says, Grand Slam, Luke, walk us through your eagle on the par 5 today. Okay, I'll do it real quick. I was playing golf. That's why we went live a little bit later on today. I was playing number 2 on my home course. It's a 567-yard par 5. It was downwind. I hit probably the longest drive I've hit in the last month, maybe month and a half. It was at least 300 yards, probably like 307, 308 yards, because we only had 265 into the green. So hit a 3-wood, actually bounced on the front of the surface, bounced over the green. Luckily, there's a little bit hill, a little bit of a collection area towards the back of that green, and chipped her on in. So if you guys know, I'm a horrible putter. I bitch about that all the time, talk about it all the time in the Discord. The best way to make eagles is to not putt at all. So that's what I have to say about that, Robert. That's what I usually do when I make my eagles. Stephen Davidson says, in the house, what is going on, dude? Glad to see you down in chat. Catch Me If You Can says, Saturday sleeper is Hoffman. Absolutely striped it today. Now, you're talking about Morgan or Charlie Hoffman? That's the trick question there. Either way, that would certainly be a sleeper pick. He's going to be well under the radar. And Skinman says, is Lashley worth a look tomorrow? It's funny you mentioned Lashley's name. I have him down as a yes in the player poll. So if you scroll down here, do a little bit of an early look at Lashley. Where is he at? He's got to be a little bit cheaper, I guess. Oh, he got a little bit of a price decrease. Yeah, I have him in the player poll. He's $7,200. Recent form looked decent. He's playing in the morning wave. Completely agree with you on Nate Lashley. So we'll talk about him when we get down towards the bottom of the leaderboard. Let's stick to some of these guys at the top of the leaderboard for right now. It's certainly somebody I have my eye on. And catch me if you can. Clarifying the Hoffman that he was talking about before, says Charlie. Could be. If he was playing well today, at least in terms of ball striking, you can get me on board with that as well. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about some of these guys that I do like. Do you like Max Homa? He shot 3 under today. At one point was 5 under par. So if he cleaned it up, could have looked even better than it did. But in terms of birdie production, it was there. Also playing in the morning wave. Russell Henley, my favorite play going into the week. I told you guys. Now, only shot 2 under. He was at 3 under, kind of prodding himself along. Did everything he needed to, right? He didn't need to shoot 6, 7 under par like a Damon and Jason Day, right? You're not going to get that every single round, but he has that in him, right? We know he's a pop putter. The ball striking was there. He was accurate off the tee. He was hitting greens, putting himself to 10 to 15 feet, doing everything you would hope a Russell Henley would do. So I'll be on him once again. He's playing in the morning. Gary Woodland, same story. Same thing with Cameron Young. Now, the thing with Cameron Young is he's a lot more expensive. So now he's $800 more expensive than he was for 4-round stuff. And 90, maybe even 95% of the time here in Showdown, it goes the other way. You get a little bit of a price decrease. That shows you just how much ownership he had. In fact, in the Largeville GPP that I was in, it was over 20% owned. So I would expect him to be popular. He had a relatively high scoring round today in terms of his birdie production, making 5 on the day. But at the price tag, I think he's an absolute stud at this point. He's on that Sam Burns type of trajectory, at least for me, where if he keeps going out here and proving himself at golf courses that don't fit his game, that was really the key indicator with me with Sam Burns. I hit him the first time at Valspar, hit him at the Sanderson Farms and I hit him at Valspar this year. I mean, absolutely love the kid. I bet him pretty much every time that he tees it up, is because he started to perform at events that didn't make sense for him to perform at, like the Genesis Invitational, like the Waste Management Open, where you kind of have to have an all-around game. You can't be dog shit around the green. That was really what was holding Sam Burns back. He competed at those events. If Cameron Young, we did it at the RBC Heritage. If he does it this week, watch out. Like the kid is going to be top maybe 10 player in the world type of potential. So it's a real breaking point for Cameron Young, in my opinion, in his career. At least how I'm judging him. If he goes out there, misses the cut there tomorrow, like shits the bed and that kind of thing. I know it's a 1 round sample size. It's not going to completely take me off of him, right? But it's just slightly less impressive, right? If he goes out there, competes this week, potentially even wins, that would speak volumes to me. It would mean a whole lot more than it would him winning at an easy birdie fest out in the desert, where it doesn't matter if you miss the ball left or right? He can just bomb and gouge it. I expect him to play well there at this point. That's the kind of player that he is, at least in my book. Patrick Reed, I'll be playing same thing with Sergio and Keith Mitchell. I guess let's talk about them one by one. Patrick Reed, he looked decent today. I mean, that's, I guess, the only compliment that I'll give him, the only one I'm even willing to give Patrick Reed. I do not like the guy, but he happens to be in my highest scoring lineup this week. So as much as I hate the guy, I have to root for him, as just shitty as that is. But he's a decent course fit here. We'll say that too. Sergio Garcia, he's apparently really looking forward to getting off the PGA Tour. Told the cameras today that he couldn't wait to never see this tour again here in a few weeks. I know a lot of people are really mad at Sergio Garcia, just whatever, right? The guy's going to do his thing. I'm sure he's going to play on the PGA Tour still at some point. I don't think all these guys are going to get banned that go over and play on the Saudi Tour. That's at least the vibes that I'm getting about it. I think that they're going to play over there. They're going to be allowed to, and it's going to become an issue for I shouldn't even say that. It's not going to be an issue for the consumer of the PGA Tour or the players of the PGA Tour. The only problem is from an ethics standpoint, right? So depending on which one of these tours ends up being strung up, hopefully it's not the ones backed by Saudi money. From a logistics standpoint, it's really only a problem for the PGA Tour, right? They're losing money, right? That's why they're really so worried about it. Hot takes aside, though, hopefully it's not the case. I just hope it's a little bit more of an ethical backing. I know the European Tour, they were talking about, maybe it was like the PGL or something like that, where they were doing team events or something like that. I know that was backed by a lot more clean money, right, in terms of the funding there. Maybe that kind of league can succeed. But either way, done with that aside there. Sergio Garcia, I'm going to play him despite that. Maybe he's lower owned, right? Because people are all pissed off. All their panties are in a bunch about Sergio Garcia's comments. I really couldn't give a shit. People are going to play wherever the hell they want to. They're going to make money. I think for guys like Jason Kokrak, that league makes perfect sense. I mean, he's a bum. For lack of a better word, Jason Kokrak's kind of a bum, right? So you send him over there, he'll make his money, whatever. We'll enjoy it. Not going to bother us. Matt Kuchar here, $8,300. I'll be taking him once again. He ended with 4 out of 5 birdies on his last 5 holes. That's pretty incredible if you ask me. I mean, the guy was playing some dog shit golf, and out of nowhere, just whatever, something snapped, got into form. He started playing the golf we expected him to. He's going to get some receptive greens tomorrow morning. If he can just be accurate off the tee like he was today, I expect the moon from him. So I like all these guys here in the 8K range. I'm going to have a ton of lineups where I'm just living here in the 8K, where I'm not even taking a guy up here in the 9K. Because like I said, the only guys I really like are Max Homa and then Russell Henley, right? It's a lot of the guys in the 8K. And as a result, I'm not going to have to take a lot of guys in the 6K range. There's not a lot of super value picks I'm going to have to dive super deep and take or anything. I guess we'll talk about Siwoo Kim. I like him as well. He played pretty decent, 3 under par today. Nothing crazy. I mean, he was gaining off the tee, gaining on approach. He was right around neutral with the putter. If he can go out there and have a ceiling performance with the flat stick, that's when you get 6-7 under par round from Siwoo Kim. Hopefully he can do that here. That would be pretty awesome in those morning conditions. Johnny Vegas, he's only $7,800. He was kind of overlooked by the masses this week. He's known to be a bomb and gouger, right? People kind of say that about Johnny Vegas, but that is not the truth. Johnny Vegas, he's one of the rare players on the PGA Tour that's both long and accurate off the tee. That's why he gains a ton of strokes off the tee. That's why he's had success at golf courses like the Players Championship. He's had some pretty decent rounds there. He's had a lot of good rounds at golf courses like the RBC Heritage, like he did just a few weeks ago. Whereas he's up here at like 70, or actually, I think he might have even been $8,000 going into the week. Go ahead and find that for you guys. Am I blind? Whatever. All right. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Either way, Johnny Vegas, actually, I'll find it for you. I just don't understand why I can't see him on here. There he is. Okay. So Johnny Vegas last year, the RBC Heritage, he finished in the top 5 of the RBC Heritage. He also finished really well at the Fortinet Championship. That's also another short golf course. And there was one more, because that was what sold me on playing him this week, is at these quote unquote short tracks. It was Sedgefield. It was at the Wyndham Championship. He finished in the top 15. Makes no sense, right? He has the knack for being this quote unquote bomber. Yet some of his best finishes over the last 2 years have been at these short positional golf courses. And there's something to be had for that, right? He's accurate off the tee. He's also relatively long, but he also can club down a lot because of his length. So I think there's something to be had there. It's not this year's RBC Heritage. He clearly didn't play this year. I thought he did. But if memory serves me right, it was last year. He finished in the top 5, which is ridiculous for Johnny Vegas. I mean, you would not expect that from somebody of at least his quote unquote skill set, right? What people, kind of attribute him to be. Aaron Rai, Doug Gim, they're playing in the afternoon. I'm not really enthralled with Gim to begin with. I mean, Aaron Rai, he played well, right? Shot 5 under par. But I also have him at 17% owned, right? That's well higher than somebody I'm willing to get to here in Showdown. And pretty much anybody in that range. You can see 19% on Joel Damon, 15% on Jason Day. I know they're playing in the morning wave. I can't get to that kind of ownership, right? I have them in my 4-round stuff. I hope they go out there, are still the leaders here after round 2. But in terms of Showdown, I'm not sure I can get to that. Just from an ownership perspective, I'm going to be pivoting elsewhere, particularly because I'm not entering 150 lineups. I'm going to be entering about 30 lineups in the large field GPP for tomorrow. So I'm not going to have the type of leverage or amount of bullets that I need to go out there and play all the guys that I would really want to if I had 150. Moving down here into the 7K range, I like Adam Long. He didn't play all that well today. It was even par. But at the same time, that's why he's only 7.7% owned now. Relatively good course fit. Matthew Neesmith shot 3 under. See myself going back to him playing in the morning. Brandon Wu will be playing in the morning. He was kind of like the hot commodity for 4-round stuff, but didn't do anything at all that special today. So maybe he's a little bit lower owned as a result. Artaban Lahiri's a fade playing in the afternoon. Same thing with McCarthy, Pan, and Smalley. Actually, Smalley might be playing in the morning, but either way, I don't really like him. Didn't look all that solid today. Russell Knox, a morning guy for tomorrow that I like. He's solid on approach, solid off the tee. Kind of a sleeper pick because he didn't have his best stuff today. I mean, early on, he was 2 over par. But ended up being 2 under by the end of the day. I like the momentum. I like the fact that he got it figured out there in the back 9. So hopefully he can continue that into Friday's round. David Lipsky, a morning player that I like. Same thing with Cam Davis. Now, Cam Davis had a really solid day. So might be a little bit popular. You can see he's the only guy I have here approaching the 10% range. Moving down to the low 7Ks, I'm starting to get close to these 6K options. Luke List, he had a very solid day. Same thing with Nate Lashley. Now, Lashley has been doing it for quite some time, right? He's number 23 in the field in recent form ranking. So it's not just the fact that he looked decent today. It's the fact that he's looked good for quite some time. So look for him to have a decent round there. Doc Redman is not actually... I don't think that's a mistake. I do have him in a player. I don't love the play, right? So he's in my player. Well, I'm going to have him like 3, maybe 4 of my 30 lineups, right? Like 10%, something like that. He played horrible today. That's the issue. He shot 4 over par. He's playing in the morning, so it's not like he, was playing in the afternoon. I'm sorry to say morning today. It's going to be playing in the afternoon tomorrow. But if you're looking for recent form, looking for a safe play, stay very clear from Doc Redman. If you're looking for a super low owned play, right, 1.6 owned, that has the upside to go out there and potentially shoot 4 or 5 under par, because that's what he needs to make the cut. He might be your guy though. So high risk play. I'm going to have him in a few lineups. Rory Sabatini, he looked decent. He'll be playing in the morning wave. Mackenzie Hughes, same story. He shot 4 under today. Certainly like going to him. Adam Svensson, he's a decent play. The more fortunate part is that he's playing in the afternoon. I believe he was playing in the morning wave. He's maybe one of the few guys that'd be willing to play there because of the Honda Classic. Just from personal experience, I was watching Adam Svensson down there because, of course, I was at the event. I played him in my DFS lineup, so I got to sweat it in person, and he was unbelievably good in that weather. I mean, he shot, I believe it was like 2 under day one. He was like 5 under by round 2 there. He was in the top 10 in that golf tournament, and it was really blowing down there in South Florida. So he might be able to handle that. We'll have to see. Tyler Duncan, I know for a fact, is playing in the morning tomorrow. He shot 2 over today, so it wasn't his best stuff, but maybe he can turn it around. Hayden Buckley shot 1 under, so kind of running under the radar, but his ball striking was there, so I like that. Let's see. I think somebody had Matt Wallace at $6,800. He shot 3 under. The ball striking was there. I told you guys at the Zurich, I saw something click with his ball striking. He continued that the week after when they made cut, looked even better last week. And this week, the ball striking looks even more refined. So really like what we're seeing from a Matt Wallace. Smotherman looked pretty decent. Good bounce back performance in round 1 after his missed cut. Actually, he didn't miss the cut. He just finished horribly last week. Felt like a missed cut. Hardly put up any fantasy points over the weekend. But solid to see him have that good first round there. And that's about it. I have Kodaira down as a blank, and then I have Whaley the whole way down here at $6,300 as a blank, and that's about it. Not really anyone I'm willing to get to in that range. It's really just not necessary. Like I said, I'm only playing Russell Henley in Max Homa up there in the 9K range, and then a bunch of 8K options. So unless I'm trying to leave a ton of salary on the board, not going to be something I really need to deep dive into. Let's go ahead and catch up on chat down here. Let's see who we've got. Catch Me If You Can says, we all hate Reed, but there's no emotions or feelings in gambling. Yeah, absolutely right. I hate the guy. I hate the fact that he's in some of my highest scoring lineups, but I'm taking him tomorrow. I'm backing him on Prize Picks, and I'm taking him in Showdown, right? So I hate the guy to death, but I'm still taking him in my stuff. Steven says, who is your favorite play for Showdown? Pick one guy. Oh, my gosh, dude. I hate that question, but I'll do it. I'll put it on the slate. You got to give me some time to think about it, though. One play. And see, the issue with that, right, is there's different plays, right? There's studs up top, right? Who's the quote-unquote stud up top that I feel the best about? There's the mid-tier guy I feel the best about, because in reality, my favorite plays on the slate are all in this 8K range, right? But there's a bunch of them. And there's a bunch of them that I really like on the slate. Or you can ask me in terms of points per dollar, right? Who do I think is going to have just the best value on the day? That's likely going to be one of these value picks, right? So I'm not going to give you the cop-out answer and just give you nothing. I'll give you one of the guys here in the 8K range, right? Because like I said, it is my favorite range here. Considering ownership, upside, everything like that, it's Keith Mitchell. Because Keith Mitchell is going to be super low owned. This 12.3% number I have on him might end up being a little bit high. Would not be surprised if he came in single digit owned. It's a good course fit. If he's got it rolling on the greens with the flat stick, he's got 5-6 under in him really easy. So it's a sneaky pick. It's not my most confident pick, right? So you didn't really give me any barometers to go off of. So I'm going to take that leniency right there. For a large field GPP as a sneaky type of pick, that's who I would pick, right? If I was looking for consistency, right, then I'd tell you Russell Henley, because he was my favorite play going into the 4-round slate. So hopefully that answers your question there appropriately. Barry says, take Fitzpatrick. I'm assuming that's responding to the question there. I don't hate it. I think Fitzpatrick's okay, but I do have him down as a blank. He's unfortunately playing in the afternoon. Catch Me If You Can says Vegas is ranked number 5 for shots gained on all courses under 7,200 yards. Great call out. So that confirms the eye test, what I've seen from some of his finishes. And a lot of people wouldn't give him credit for that, right? It's like, oh, he's a bomber. You got to have him at these long golf courses. Well, the data says otherwise. So I'm glad that I saw it before the week. Really good call on that. Really good catch on that. Catch me if you can. Even more so a reason to go ahead and roll him out tomorrow. Barry says, take the cheaper Rory. Who's the cheaper Rory? Go ahead and let us know who that is down in chat. I'm not sure if that's Fitzpatrick, but go ahead and let me know who you're talking about. And Starlord says, thoughts on Barjan as a super cheap play. So I'm not super for it. I'm also not super against it. He shot 5 under in the afternoon wave. So I do think he's going to get some ownership here just because, he's at the top of the leaderboard. People saw him on the broadcast, or especially saw him on the leaderboard during the broadcast. So he's $6,200. I have him down as a no, but that's probably not really appropriate. Probably should be a blank because I don't hate the play. I just don't love it. I think he'll be a little bit higher owned than he should be. You can see in terms of the guys down here in the $6,300 range, he's the only one who's getting any type of ownership, right? So he's really the only one I'd consider playing. Because of the projection, you can see, he's close to 20 points. A lot of the other guys here are like 13, 14 fantasy points. Now, keep in mind that the least accurate projections that you can get in any type of golf are going to be Showdown projections. I don't make a lot of my decisions in Showdown based on the projected points right here. They are accurate, right? It's based on the algorithm. Same thing I use for my 4-round stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I love the play. The projections like him. You can see he's the only one projected down here for like 3.1x value. Same thing with Jacob Bridgman, but it's the first time you've ever seen Bridgman before, so kind of take that with a grain of salt. I'm not against the play, but I don't want to talk you off him, but I don't love him. I'll definitely say that. Ray Flores' thoughts on Seifert. So I don't know if he's teeing off in the morning versus the afternoon now. So look that up. Make sure he's teeing off in the morning. If he's teeing off in the morning, I'm okay with it. It's kind of similar to our Par Barjan, where he's a decent course fit, right? He's accurate off the tee, decent with the approach play. Just needs to find the hot putter. So I'd be playing him in a 20 max, right? I'm personally not going to, just because I like a few other guys a little bit more. But in a 20 max type of contest, I could see playing him in like 3 or 4 lineups. That would make a whole lot of sense to me in that format. Just make sure he's playing in the morning. That's going to be important for tomorrow. Barry says the cheaper Rory equals 17. Okay, I didn't know if you were talking about Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I like the cheaper Rory for tomorrow. I think he looked decent today, and he likes these short tracks. It's the only time you see Rory Sabatini show up. It's at these short tracks, and he balls out for whatever reason. He still got it. He saw it for sure out there at the Olympics. Mitch says, any birdies? So assuming you're talking about my round today, I did make 2 birdies on the day. We were playing a scramble, though, so I'm only counting the solo birdies that I made. The eagle was a solo eagle for me. I had the tee shot, the approach, and, of course, the chip shot to make it. But on the day, we played 10 holes, and we played 10 holes. 2 of them were warm-up, and then the 8 holes that we counted, we shot 10 under par. So just kind of ridiculous stuff, if you ask me. Ray Flores says, morning, what is going on? And Starlord says, okay, thanks for your thoughts in doing these vids. Of course, guys. Like giving back to you, even if it's late like it is tonight. So, of course, sorry, that's a little bit later than usual. I'm going to get it up at some point. So sometimes when I'm playing golf and whatnot, particularly down in Florida this time of year, we get sunlight until right around 8 p.m. So I try to take advantage of that when I can. Get out there, do some golf. So some of these Showdown videos might be coming out a little bit later than usual, but they'll be coming out. So just stay tuned, right? Even if you got to watch the replay in the morning, it'll be up there for you guys. Let's go ahead and talk about some strategy and hop on out of here. So let me go ahead and share my screen. We'll hop over to Draftkings, and we'll go ahead and try and do this real quickly because I still got to get some dinner in my belly. So let's talk about a GPP lineup to start. So as per usual, ownership is the name of the game. We got to make sure we're not duplicating ourselves with 50 to 100 people out there in these large field GPPs. But more importantly, trying to get some leverage to the field. So because I'm fading a lot of the guys in the 10K range, my job's kind of going to be done for me. I'm not going to have to be all that careful about it. Let's go ahead and put Russell Henley in it. Probably my favorite play on the slate. Let's also go ahead and put Keith Mitchell in there. Mentioned both of them as relatively sneaky plays that I like. And you can see we still have $8,000 remaining. We can pretty much play whoever we want. That's the beauty with this Showdown tomorrow. Let's go ahead and just add a few guys here. So let's go with Patrick Reed. Let's go ahead and at Matt Kuchar, assume that he goes in, continues some of that form. We're now at 75.5, so getting a little bit more constricted. I like going to Johnny Vegas, and at $7,300. Now, I think we're going to be unique enough because Johnny Vegas isn't going to be relatively high owned. I'd expect Reed to probably be single digit owned. Same thing with Keith Mitchell. We could spend all of our salary. I'm not going to worry about leaving a ton on the table here. You can go to Cam Davis, who I like. You can go to David Lipsky. I think he makes some sense in this scenario. Let's go ahead and just put Davis in there, right? Just spend all of our salary. We should be unique enough with this type of lineup. I'd be willing to roll this down to large field GPP. It's a little bit different than a slate where we want to take somebody like a Roy McIlroy who might be 20, maybe 25% owned. Then we really got to worry about the rest of our slots. Whereas the highest owned guy in this lineup is going to be Russell Henley. he's going to be like 13% owned. So you don't really got to worry about it at all. Now, if we're going to cash, I'm still not playing the chalk because, frankly, I think the chalk tomorrow is going to bust. I think a lot of people, even after day one, might not react to a lot of this weather, right? Their guys didn't play well. It's a lot of psychology involved when it comes to Showdown and just experience, being a DFS professional. You kind of pick up on this stuff over time. When people play their guys in round one, they don't play well. And I've definitely been a victim of this myself in the past. You feel hope that they're going to turn it around. Right? You're like, oh, round two is going to be their day. It was due to the weather. It was not due to their guys playing bad, right? To having a bad day. All the guys in the 10K range didn't just all have a bad day on the same day, right? It's because they were dealing with harder conditions. They're dealing with the same thing tomorrow. So for that crowd out there that's only playing the guys like Rory McIlroy, Corey Connors, Matt Fitzpatrick, because it didn't work out so well on round one, this is not the slate to do that, right? If you were dealing with relatively flat weather, something like that, where we weren't talking about maybe a shot and a half, 2-stroke difference between the waves tomorrow, then I'd be a lot more willing to do so. So I'm not going to be playing that chalk. That I have no interest in playing those guys playing at the PM wave. In fact, I'm actually going to be even more balanced with this cash lineup. So guys that I think are must plays in cash, I think Siwoo Kim's a must play. Same thing with Matt Kuchar. Some of the guys towards the top of the range, I think Cameron Young at this point is kind of establishing his name like that. Same thing with Gary Woodland. He still has $7,900. Now, we're looking for a consistent play, so I kind of want to take a cheaper guy here, be able to spend up there in the 8K range again. In terms of a value pick, the most consistent play, Neesmith jumps out to me. Same thing with Adam Long. I like Johnny Vegas. Let's go ahead and put Johnny Vegas in there. Those stats, they were impressive to me. I think that means a lot right there. And you can finish it up with Jason Day, right? He'd be like the one piece of chalk I'd be willing to get to. I shouldn't even say the only, because I'd be willing to take Joel Damon, dude. So let's go ahead and do that. Joel Damon, and same thing with Jason Day. The only reason they're chalk is because of how well they played on day one, right? So rather than being just the high-owned guys in the 10K range that everyone owned in round 4 stuff that people are still going to go back to in here in round 2, these guys are going to be chalk because they actually played well, right? It's kind of like the opposite end of that spectrum. So if I'm going to eat any type of chalk in my cash lineup for tomorrow, it's going to be those type of plays. So this is the type of lineup we'd be looking for in cash. You can see the cheapest play, $7,900. The most expensive play, $8,900. So extremely balanced, and all should very well be in the top 50th percentile in terms of their plays tomorrow. But that's all I've got here for the stream, guys. We'll catch up on chat before hopping out of here. Ray Flores wants to know who I like better between Lipsky and Lashley. I would have to take Lashley there. I expect the recent form to matter with him, and based on how he played in round 1, could very well continue that here for Friday. Forbes says he gets out at 8 p.m. and shoots 60s. Yep. Luke says, can we get to Osprey Point Invitational analysis? Yeah, why not? Let's go ahead and record it. We should record a vlog someday. Record a vlog with the golf. But best of luck with all of your lineups out there this week, guys. If there are no more questions, we'll be doing the same thing tomorrow in terms of our Showdown live stream. Best of luck with your lineups for today. Hopefully we get a bunch of made cuts tomorrow and get some 6 of 6 lineups in for all of you guys. Let's get this cash.